Mars goes out of bounds today, and it stays there until 4th of May, a long time. Out of bounds, let me explain. Whereas we usually chart the movement of planets across the sky, and when we're talking about Aries 1, Aries 2, Aries 3, it's kind of moving across the sky. Planets also go up and down, and that's called the declination. Some of them go so far up or down that they're beyond a certain measure, 23 degrees, 27 minutes. Not all of them do this, but when they do go outside of this band within which most planets stay, and they go outside of there, they're called out of bounds. And it's been noticed that that makes a difference to how they express, and in a word, in an exaggerated way, we could say, beyond the norms of society. Now you can imagine what Mars is going to do when it's given permission to go a little bit more extreme than it normally likes to be. And you can have the positive and the negative, of course, and it depends a lot on what your Mars is doing in your horoscope, whether or not this is a big deal for you. But I do know one of my closest personal friends has got a Mars in an out of bounds position, and he's an exaggerated form of life. He's over the top quite often, and there are certain positive qualities which he enjoys, like excessive vitality. He's untireable, and he's my age, and he still goes to festivals as often as he can, and he's got a really active social life, and he's working a normal day doing physical work as a decorator, and he's so vibrant. It's uncanny. So there's the positive side. But on the negative side, he's not well boundaried in certain respects. So he's been to prison, did 2 years inside for trading in drugs. He doesn't stay within the boundaries of what society wants of us. Doesn't care. And usually, of course, we punish such people, but sometimes we praise them and reward them. So you've got certain figures in history with Mars out of bounds, such as both Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. Now, they were a really, really big deal in the 60s, and they were pushing for change. And they were both, they paid a serious price for their efforts. And they really caused a sort of stir. And the same kind of thing happens in art. Frida Kahlo and David Lynch are examples in the world of art where the way they are, how they are, what they do, they just go well beyond what has been tried before. Frida Kahlo, she was a tremendous inspiration in her art. She was allowing herself to be masculine. She wasn't going to be the typical woman, and she did it her way, and she overcame immense physical difficulty to get on with stuff. That's a feature of Mars out of bounds, that capacity to overcome and just go the extra mile. And in the political arena, you've got Karl Marx, who really was pushing the limits. There's one example, Noam Chomsky, another example, somebody who's really made a difference. Mars is about action, and whatever you might feel if the moon goes out of bounds or Venus, Mars is going to make you do something about it. So you've got qualities like a strong, ambitious nature, driven personality, bold and courageous, supremely self-confident, strong masculinity, physical stamina, willpower and passion, venture and daring, and leadership ability. So all of these qualities may well potentially lie within us, and they may be brought to an awakened expression in action during a Mars out of bounds transit. If particularly we've got Mars out of bounds in our own horoscope, and not that many people have, and then Mars becomes out of bounds, where all of us enjoy that energy to some extent, that will be really noticeable. I observed this for the first time, not so much with Mars, but with Uranus out of bounds, which is a generational thing. People of the same age group have that. And when Uranus went out of bounds again, which was like 40 years later, those of us born with Uranus out of bounds somehow came together and did kind of rebellious and revolutionary things together. It's really obvious that out of bounds is meaningful. It works. You might not notice it individually, but you will notice it collectively. And we're going to be looking at that soon, because collectively, from now until end of April, all of us are going to be experiencing this additional vitality, this additional masculinity, this willingness to push further and to take command and to do things, and in such a way as we haven't done before. As I say, most particularly if your Mars is emphasized in your horoscope. You might have it conjunct the Sun, which is what I have. You might have it on the ascendant or the midheaven, and therefore your characteristics and your career will be energized. And a lot of people will find that uncomfortable. Mars isn't necessarily always comfortable. And even when it's in its strongest expression, command, leadership, dynamism, nevertheless, some people are not happy with you when you're expressing that. And of course, we have the negative side. If your relationship with Mars is not wholesome, and whenever Mars energy is around, you slip into your shadow nature, well, you think about Mars in a negative sense. It's what the soldier is like when disobedient to the general. Rape and pillage, it's not nice. So you've got qualities like excessive aggression, bullying, violent brutality, impulsive and rash, frequently and quickly angry, selfish, excessively forceful, belligerent. So, two things then, an opportunity to get on with it and do something you've never been able to do before. But also a warning, you might be a bit too strong for people. They might find you too much. So we have to temper our energetic, thrusting nature with a certain amount of awareness of the other. Try and be a bit more sensitive than you feel. A time for a sense of some self-control. And this is for a long time. All through November, December, January, February, March. It's a long time. And at the moment we have a war going on. That doesn't sound very nice, does it?